Hello, it's me. I'm being very lazy right now. I'm trying to hold my hand very still so that you don't get the shaky, shaky. I'm too lazy to put the tripod up because we're going to head over to my desk and we are going to take a look at my 2025 book journal. I always talk about mine. I've showed you guys a little bit here and there of some of my past ones, but I want to show you my thinking of what I want to set up for this year and how I want to try to track things that I'm going to be reading. And it's, I haven't put my January, but technically I've given myself 7 days after reading books to put in the reviews. So I have a few more days before I have to put the reviews. And that's Ella on the floor making sounds right now. But I just wanted to say hi to you before we head right over to my desk. Let's take a look at it. Maybe you'll find some inspiration if you don't book journal. I love it because it's a way to capture what I've read. You all know, whoever watches this channel knows that I have a very bad memory. So it's really good for me to have this documentation of what I've read and some notes on my thoughts on it. Because sometimes just those little notes will jog my memory and, oh yeah, I remember that book now. So, and these aren't books always that are from years past. This could be books that I read a couple months ago. So it's really, really a cool tool. And I've moved into a new book. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing and you can let me know what you think. Okay, so let's head over to my desk now. All right, bye. Hi. Okay, so we said we're going to go through my book journal for 2025. I always say I'm going to do it and I never get around to doing it. So I want to try to show you kind of where I am with it. I am pretty good and set and ready to go. These are the older ones. This one is cloth. The other ones I had were like a faux leather, but this is the size that I was using, and I very much liked it. I've had it for many years, and I liked the fact that they were all the same size, so when I put them on the shelf, they would be, they would go nicely together. However, if you see the difference in that and this year's, this is pretty big, much larger than the one that I had, and I'm going to see if it works out for me. There's less pages, but they're bigger pages, so we'll see if that plays out to be something that I can maximize on, and I think the other thing is I used to always do 2-page. Let me see if I can find one that I really like to show from last year, that they were 2 pages, and I don't necessarily need to have 2 pages for a review unless it's something I really want to, oops, sorry about that. Unless it's something I really, really have a lot to say, or sometimes there's books that I have a lot of quotes from. So for example, this one here was a good one that I did last year. For Kerry Washington's book, Thicker Than Water, I actually used stencils in here and ink to create waves in here, which I thought was really fun. I started to get a little more creative last year than normal. In years past, it's really been very much a standard design throughout in terms of the book reviews, but I decided that I wanted to have more fun with it, and I thought that this was a really cool way to do it. There's like stuff falling out of here. So there's still stuff I have to put together for that one, so we won't really focus on that one that much. But this is a new one. I'm really liking it. I believe this is a Dingbats. Yeah, this is a Dingbats, and I can make sure I leave the information on this one. I got it on Amazon. I like the size of it a lot, so I use it for a creative journaling that I do, which is a monthly journal that I'm keeping, and I started doing last year, and I really liked it, so I thought I could use this. This one, I also love the thickness of the pages. They take ink and paint pretty good, and so I think that's a definite plus. I haven't done anything here yet. I do want to put something to obviously show that it's mine beyond just filling this out. I don't know if I'm loving the inside of this, but I may end up covering this at some point as well, but for now, that's where we are. This page I never do anything on because of just what you're seeing. It doesn't lay flat, so it's kind of a amiss. I may end up just gluing it together, and then we can just go into the first page. And so my first page is my reading goals. And so I will go over this a little bit before I go into the rest of it. The quote I found on Pinterest, and it just spoke to me. I thought it was very, the mindset that I wanted to go in with this year. And it says, in the case of good books, the point is not to see how many of them you can get through, but rather how many can get through to you, by Mortimer J. Adler. And I just like that because I think in the age of social media, it's all about the number. And I just try to keep reminding myself that that's really not what this is supposed to be about for me. For some it might be, but for me, it's not. And so what I did is I broke my goals down into, and they aren't, they are reading and reading related goals. So I have a read, create, write, and do. So under read, I have read daily. I do try to track that. You'll see here in the next page, I have, you can't really see there. I track each month and the days are along the side, and I basically can just see that I'm, it doesn't have to be more than 15 minutes. As long as I'm sitting down with a book each day, then I count it as time spent with, reading. So that's one thing I want to try to do. And there's definitely times like, I was away that, that I don't do it, or I was really tired and I didn't read that night, or, what have you. Read 3 classics. Last year I had that as a goal. I can't remember. I think I only read 2 last year. Although I was counting, I did read Huckleberry Finn, and then I read James. So I might be able to count James as one, because I think James is going to become a classic by Percival Everett. Read 5 blind TBR books. So we all know that I created the TBR cart, and I did get only through a certain amount. Let me see if I can find I did a layout for that last year in my other book. Well, if I don't find it, I'll show you a new one. But I did it a different layout than I had in this one. And I think that going forward, I'm going to go with this one. Oh, of course I didn't mark it, did I? No, I'll find it, or not. So there's that. Then read 2 wellness books. I have a lot of like self-help / wellness books, and I start them and I never finish them. And so, I really like to get through and go through some of those, go through at least 2 of them and complete them, as opposed to just kind of pawing through it a little bit. Read 3 Black male authors. I'm definitely on my way already, because I just read one. Well, I didn't read it technically this year. I did read it in November, but for our Read So Lit, we did 54 Miles, and that is obviously a Black author, so I won't count that. I will definitely meet this goal, I believe, this year. And I made them really low. I'm a low baller, because I don't like to put something that's going to be stressing me out or throughout the year, or I feel like is too unattainable. Read 1 book out of the comfort zone. I think that might be, if I'm thinking about it, I think that might be horror. Although I have been getting into the suspense thriller, but I feel like horror would be really out of my comfort zone, or a hard science fiction. But I don't know if I would make it through it, so I might have to pick horror. But we'll pick that this year and figure out what that's going to be. Read 5 books owned over 2 years. As you'll see when we get in further, I am tracking now books that I'm reading on my shelf and that are old. I've got books that I've had for years. They got to be read, or they got to go, because I'm definitely going to be purging. Actually, did I write it in here? Oh, I did. Yeah, because in my due, I have donate or sell 25 books. So there's some books that got to go, and some of those books could be some of these books. Read at least 6 Read So Lit books. Last year I went in with the intention, and I always do this now with book clubs, I never intend on reading all of the books. That's a lovely goal. I know that things come up in the month, and I'm a mood reader, so I know that I won't probably read all of them. 6 is a good amount, so I think if I read at least that many, then I'm happy. On Create, I want to work on recording more weekly goal videos, because I kind of fallen off that schedule. And I want to record 12 book chats. I'm on my way, starting to do them with my last 2 that I've done. Talking about the books that I read and engaging with everybody. Sorry, here it comes.
That's what we want to have these channels for, is not for just me to just talk, but to engage with you all and talk about my experience with a book. Participate in 2 tag videos. I get tagged, and I think people don't tag me as much anymore because I'm so bad at doing them. So this year I'm going to actually participate in 2. And I'd also even like to create my own. So I'm trying to start to think about what I'd like to do, or the questions I'd like to ask and answer. I always think they're fun when you see people do them. So there's that. Create 5 shorts for the channel. Listen, every year I'm trying to get a little bit better with regards to moving through and getting more skilled in my video editing skills. But I don't do any shorts, so let's do that this year. And I said create 12 vlogs. I create more vlogs in the warm weather because I have my garden. I do a lot out in my patio and my deck. But I think 12 is still attainable, even if I did one every now and then more as it gets to the warmer months. So I think that one might work. And I want to write my book reviews within a week of completing the book in my book journal. Maybe that's crazy ambitious, but I feel like I wait too long and I get into the next book and I forget details and I forget my thoughts on things. So I want to try to get in the habit of doing that, and that will coincide with writing 4 posts a month on the blog. So if I do write a review, there are some books that I'm not going to put on my post, and there's some books that I'm not even going to discuss as a book chat and the channel. But the ones that I do, I think that I'd like to be able to put them on the blog. Because there's some books that I write that might be, maybe it's a cozy that's not really, warranting a whole sit down too long to talk about. But I just could say that, it was fun and what have you. But there might be something else that, like, for example, how I talked about The Women's by Kristen Hanna, that there's a lot more for me to talk about. And then do schedule time weekly to update the blog. I need to really kind of prioritize if I want it to happen. Use the library more before buying books. I did do this last year, and I want to continue to do that to curb my initial reaction to buy books. Donate and sell 25. I'm using the year 2025 to come up with this number of 25 books for my shelves. Schedule time weekly to update the book journal. And just, again, scheduling time to work on the blog, scheduling time to update, and coming in here. When I did this last year, it was patchy. The year before I did better than last year, actually. So I want to try to keep up with the things that I'm trying to track in here. Some of these things are not completely completed, and I didn't want to wait till then, because what would happen was we would not get to this, and I keep pushing it off. So I'm going to show you this probably quarterly to kind of give you an idea where I am with the book journal. This page is not completed. What I put posted so I don't forget. I put these frames here. What I'm going to do is, this is in pencil. I will darken these lines. They're supposed to be hanging on a wall, and it's going to say favorite new authors. So it's kind of like a little wall of fame of the new authors that I got introduced to, that I actually think that I want to read more of their books. If they're a new author, that I will, be looking for their new books. So that I gave 10 spots here for it. There may be more new authors, but these are only going to be 10 that I'm going to highlight here. And I have already, like, I put, this will be the words that's going to go inside here. I just haven't put them in there. It's one of those things we're getting at. This is the anticipated reads. This is I did this in my last book, and I loved it. I just cut it down, so it's actually a mini book within the book. And this is basically by month. I will write down, what books are coming out and what date. And then I will, can you see? I'm like talking, not sure if you can see. Okay, yeah. Well, then I have an asterisk for things that I pre-order, or I might get L for a library if I'm going to check it out from the library. So if I order them and buy them, usually there's an asterisk next to it. And so it'll go through the whole month. I haven't gone through and looked into all of them yet, but I'll fill them in as they come across more books that are coming out. This I thought would be really cool and maybe this will help me with my books that I buy on my Kindle, is tracking my ebooks. And I already have been naughty and have purchased some this month. And I will, if I accompany it and I get the audio with it, I will put an A beside them so I know. And I also write the price they are. It's obviously a lot cheaper to buy the ebooks than a physical book. And I'm starting to allow myself to say it's okay not to have the physical book. Certain books I will want, but others I don't. 5 and 25, I haven't defined this yet. This will be a video where I'm going to talk about 5 books that I want to read in 2025. Just 5 random books that I pick from my shelves that I think that, or they could be 5 books that I, recently purchased that I just want to get done. I just thought it was kind of cool. It rhymed. And so that's going to go there. The covers of them will go here, and their readings will go here as they read them. This is my favorite book of the month. So this month I felt it was The Unexpected Diva. I really enjoyed getting into that book. I did like the women for sure, and I did enjoy the What the River Knows. And I already had read 54 Miles, so I don't really count that as January. But I want to highlight them here. And at the end of the year, maybe I'll have a favorite book of the year. James was mine last year, along with everybody else that has read it. So there's that. Series tracker, I'm just keeping track of the different series that I've read over time and that I haven't. What I haven't come back in and done yet, what I did on mine last year, is I highlight the ones that I've read. Like, I've read that one. I've read the first 2. I've read the first 3 of these. I've read the first 2 of these. I'll go and highlight them so that by the time I finish them, all of the books will be highlighted. And I left room for any new series I pick up this year because then I can transfer that to next year's. Buddy Reads is I try to read with my sister and one of my dear friends from college. My goal is to read 2 with each of them, and I'll put my reviews in here, my ratings and stuff in there, information in here. I did the same exact layout last year in my book, and I liked it and it worked. So if it's not broken, The next one is book genres, and so just trying to see what genres I read. I didn't do them yet. I haven't filled this in yet with the 3 that I have 3 that they have so far for January. But what I'll do is I'll write an X in each of the categories, like romance. I have mystery, classics, memoirs, etc. And then I was thinking either to do an X or I could do the color. Although romance and mystery are the same color. So these 2, that's what I did. I did 2 of each. It might look more interesting with the colors going down as opposed to just X's. I'm just a visual person and I like that. And I try to do colors that coincided with the books on the top. This one I did last year and I love it. I try to buy from indie bookstores. And so what I'm going to do here is I still haven't even finished writing. These are in pencil, just so I knew where they're going to be. So in January, I try to buy 1 book a month from an independent bookstore. I have a local one that I basically will buy from, 2 that are local to me that I really like. So I probably will go back and forth between the 2 of them. What I usually do is I use my printer and I'll print out like this, like how these are. I'll print out the cover. There'll be a small cover here and the name of the store that I bought it from. And I used to write like about them, what the store is about, who found it, or I'd also put a picture of the owner. I think I'm just going to put the book, maybe the rating if I read it. But I'll definitely do this in the store. In those. And I just thought that was a fun kind of stairway. I want to put something else in here. I haven't figured that out yet, but we will see. Library loans, I did this last year as well, and I really liked it. Each month I track how many books I get from the library, and then what is the value that if I had bought these books, would they, how much money it would save me. This one, the irony is I need to take off some of this. I ended up getting the ebook and audio on a sale on my Kindle, so I didn't read it. I did read The Women, but I didn't save myself 60 because I should subtract the ebook that I got from it. But I love seeing it because it also forces me to remember to use the library. I use the ebooks, but getting physical books from the library too as well. This is my Read So Lit book club. These are the books. Last year, we voted in advance, not in advance, but in advance of each meeting, what book we were going to do. This time we had the opportunity to vote for all of them for this year. So I know what all the books are. So I printed them on my printer and I put them in here with a star rating. Obviously 54 Miles was a 5 for me. Loved the book. When I read it in November, if you see my old video, you'll see I did talk about it a bit. And then these are the other ones. And then we always leave. These are 2 that we're not going to have anything. So book stats. I like the idea of the book stats. I don't know how good. I'm not good at keeping up. If you look at my last one last year, I didn't. So I may have wasted this page. I don't know. But I put like book read, pages read. Is it audio? Is it physical? Kindle, fiction, nonfiction, a graphic novel. I'm also toying with putting in here ARC because I started reading advanced reader copy books on my second one. So if I feel like I'm actually reading enough, I will add this. I'm just going to keep it in pencil till I'm committed to it. Global reading, I want to track. I do read books from other countries. I definitely do a lot of the Caribbean, especially for Caribathon. So I want to put here, you know, what the country is that I'm reading. So I thought that would be fun. From my shelf, this one is really important to me because I need to read books that are on my shelf, and we can't use the technicality of the book that I bought yesterday and put on my shelf. I'm trying to read older books that are on my shelf. And so I like to see, like, for example, the one that I read this month, I bought in 2023, and it's 2025 now. So it's about a year and a half, almost 2 years that I've had this. No, about a year, a little less than a year and a half. So you know, I want to see, I really want to fill this with books that I've read, that I've had a long time, so I can get to that. The blind TBR cart challenge I did very different last year. I ended up filling, let me see if I can find it really quick. With that one, I had put all of them, remember, I think I did 22, was it 22 of them? 24 of them. I put them, let me see if I can find it. I should have been organized and had it flagged in this one. Yeah. So here's my last year's. So last year, I put the numbers, and then whenever I drew the numbers, so number 4 was this one, and then I would put them here. And I didn't read that one. I didn't end up reading it, finishing it. I did read this one, and I think there was a couple more. So I thought that was cool, but then I was like, no, I think what I'm going to do for this one is, because I put my goal is to read at least 5 of them. I will, if I read more, I will keep going. But I just left it like this, and then whatever the one is, I don't care what the number is that I'm picking, that I will put it in here. So I'm hoping this could be also another one that could have been a half a page, because I more than likely am not going to read all of the books, right? So this is how I set up my months. This is bigger than I normally do, but I got this inspiration from another booktuber. You know, you just basically write in the books that I read, and then over here, I haven't filled them in yet, but these are the quotes that I usually put, quotes or statistics. If it's a nonfiction book, or in historical fiction, I'll put them in here, and I love to be able to see that. I haven't filled any of these things in, but I just wanted you to get an idea of what I'm doing this year. So I went online and I found some, you know, things that were printed. I knew I wasn't going to write a lot because this book isn't really, you know, a heavy book to read. So there's not a lot for me to say. So I made this big, and I'm just going to fill in here, and I will have those little stickers that you saw. Let me see, do I have them printed here? My little stars to say, you know, oops, sorry, Ella. I'll put my star stickers that I cut on my silhouette. I'll put this underneath here and put the information about it, when it was published, etc. And then I will rate it. And this one I found, I went online and found, I got stuff in here. I went online and I found a picture of women Army Corps from Vietnam. And so these are actual women. And I don't know, I didn't have their names, but I just wanted to, you know, just to include, you know, and I like to see that there was a woman of color there in this picture. This is a statue for a woman. I feel like this is for Vietnam, or it's for women's service women. I'm not sure. I have to remember. I'll find out the information when I come back to it. And the Lax is the Unexpected Diva that I'll be putting in here. I haven't put anything in here yet, but that's how it's gonna go, and I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be fun to like kind of go through and fill things out. I tried to make it engaging, but not too much stuff to have to fill out, because then I will just definitely not do it all. But we'll see how this works, if it will last for me. I think if I do 1-page reviews, I think that we'll have enough. This has, oh, they don't have numbered pages, so I can't tell you. I have to look online to see how many pages. But it does have less than my old book. But again, it's bigger. And I also noticed that even though it's bigger, I actually made things bigger. I mean, even the images on here that I put, these are stickers that I got off of Etsy, and then I just print them and cut them on my silhouette, and then these I just made on my silhouette. But yeah, same things with the titles. This is again another sticker. You can go on Etsy and find lots of them, but that is what I have right now. I will come back with it again, maybe at the end of the quarter, just to let you guys know that I'm doing things and how it's going. In case you want to see it, let me know if you want to see it again. And that is my book journal for 2025. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.